Good evening, and welcome, just as you are. There's no need to be brighter, calmer, or wiser than this moment. You've reached the end of a long day, and the world is finally quieting around you. Let this be a small place where nothing is asked of you, and you don't have to solve anything right now. You might already feel the bed beneath you, soft and steady, letting your weight sink in. Your jaw loosens a little, as if it remembers how to rest. Your shoulders ease down, like a heavy coat slipping from your back. Your eyes grow warm and slow, and your breath moves in a way that asks for nothing at all. If your hands were holding the day tightly, let them uncoil, fingers softening against the sheets. Your belly can widen with each gentle inhale, and your chest can drift lower with every release. There's nothing to brace against now, nothing chasing you, just the quiet. Some of you came here carrying the weight of work, the kind that clings to the edges of the mind even after the computer is shut down. Some arrived with family concerns tucked under the ribs, those small responsibilities that never truly clock out. Someone here may be holding money worries close, the way we hold a bag we can't set down, even when our arms are tired. These things follow us through the day, but at night, we can place them gently by the door. Like shoes we no longer need to wear, we can let the dust of the day settle, slowly, quietly, the way a jar grows still when no one touches it. This room you and I share, even through a screen, is soft lit and simple. No doctrine, no instructions. Just the feeling of evenings when lanterns glow low and people breathe in the same slow, human way. Here, letting go happens in small moments, a longer exhale, a jaw relaxing, a thought drifting off like a leaf on a stream. Here, kindness is the warmth you offer yourself when you finally stop pushing. Patience is the way your breath unknots on its own. Forgiveness is the quiet that comes when you stop holding everything so tight. I've heard this question many evenings. What do I do with all this overthinking? And the answer is never grand. Sometimes, it's just this, the lights dimming inside you, one by one, until the mind grows soft around the edges. Someone listening now may be wondering if they've done enough today. Someone else might feel a little lonely in the dark. You're not alone here. We're in the same small room of night, breathing in a way that steadies us, breathing out in a way that opens a tiny bit of ease. Let the room feel spacious, as if the walls are gently stepping back. Let the bed cradle your shape, the way sand takes the form of a foot and then releases it. Your breath doesn't need guidance. Your body knows the way down. Before we wander deeper, if these quiet moments help you rest, you're welcome to subscribe. And if you feel like leaving a small sign, type 1 if this eased your night, or 2 if it didn't. Either way, you're welcome here. Now, when you're ready, let's drift gently toward the first story. Story 01. Evening settled over the mango grove where the Buddha rested, the leaves stirring with a soft wind. A young mother named Kisagotami arrived, her face streaked from crying, her baby still and silent in her arms. Her mind raced with panic and refusal, the way any parent might when life twists in a way the heart cannot bear. She begged for a cure, desperate to reverse what had already happened. The Buddha listened quietly, not turning away from her pain. He told her to bring him mustard seeds from a home untouched by death, a simple request that sent her walking through the village, house by house. She learned every family had its own stories of loss, sometimes fresh, sometimes long carried. As night deepened, her steps slowed, and the truth settled into her like the evening cool. She returned to the Buddha, no longer clutching the body, her breath steadier, her shoulders lower. He didn't offer speeches, only presence, and she felt the sharpness of her anguish soften. You might know this feeling, clinging to something you can't change, wishing life would rewind. Maybe you've stood in a doorway at night, asking why things slipped out of your hands. Grief eases when we realize we're not alone in it. Every household knows loss, though each carries it differently. When the mind stops fighting the fact of change, space opens for gentleness. Practice tonight by placing one hand on your chest, breathing slowly, and letting your ribs rise under your palm. Just remind yourself, others have carried this too. Let that soften you, even a little. Story 02. The Buddha walked along a quiet road where tall trees shaded the path. Monks, following at a respectful distance. From behind them, Angulimala thundered forward, famous for his rage and fearsome reputation. He'd spent years running on anger, the kind that burns through sleep and reason alike. Seeing the Buddha walking calmly and unhurried, he shouted for him to stop. But when he reached him, breath heaving, he saw a man who wasn't afraid. The Buddha spoke gently about the harm of hurting others and how change begins the moment we stop running in the old direction. It wasn't a spell or command, just simple truth delivered with steady compassion. Angulimala felt something break open inside him, the tightness around his heart easing like knuckles unclenching. He set down his weapons as though waking from a long, troubled dream. You might understand this reacting when stressed, saying things you regret, feeling pulled by old habits. Maybe someone at work pushes your buttons, or deadlines crowd your chest. Change doesn't start with perfection. It starts when we pause. One moment of stopping can rewrite the next hour. If you like, rest your hands on your belly and feel the rise and fall. Let the breath remind you there's always another direction you can choose. Just one calmer step forward. Story 3 inches, the cool shade of a forest hut. The Buddha sat while a monk named Sona approached with a tired, anxious face. Sona had pushed himself too hard in meditation, driven by the same perfectionism many of us feel at work or home. His mind was tight, his body strained, his patience worn thin. He confessed that he was ready to give up altogether. The Buddha reminded him of how he once tuned a lute, how strings too loose made no music, and strings too tight snapped. Sona felt the truth land softly. He had been pulling at himself with no kindness. He breathed more evenly, shoulders dropping as if releasing a long-held tension. The forest around them felt gentler, as though it too exhaled. Maybe you know this, pushing yourself past the point of comfort, thinking effort alone will fix everything. Maybe you treat your inner world like a project that needs perfect results, but balance is sturdier than force. Ease gives space for clarity. Try sitting back for a moment, letting your spine settle and your jaw loosen. Tell yourself, not too tight, not too loose. Let that guide the rest of your night. Story 04. The Buddha stayed near Rajagaha when a wealthy merchant approached, face tight with worry. His riches were great, yet his fear of losing them was greater. Each night he lay awake, mind racing like an overflowing inbox he couldn't close. The Buddha listened without judgment, seeing the weight the man carried. He spoke about how holding too tightly feels like gripping sand, how fear makes the hands clench until nothing can be enjoyed. The merchant felt the truth immediately, a slow warming in his chest. He had been living in constant tension, loving nothing because he feared everything. As he breathed out, some of his dread slipped away, like a door closing softly behind him. You might have felt this too: money worries, future worries, the strain of trying to control what can't be controlled. Fear shrinks life to the size of a clenched fist, but when the grip loosens, even a little, life becomes gentler. Lay your hands open on your lap for a moment. Feel the difference between holding and softening. Let the softening guide you toward rest tonight. Story 05. One morning, the Buddha passed through a village where a farmer approached. Frustrated and exhausted, his crops had suffered from storms. His family argued often, and nothing in his life seemed steady. He hoped the Buddha could fix his problems, like clearing a field in one sweep. The Buddha explained that no one escapes problems entirely, that life always carries a mix of joys and troubles. The farmer frowned, wanting a cleaner answer, but slowly he saw the sense in it. Everyone he knew had their own set of difficulties. He wasn't singled out by fate. His breathing deepened, his frustration cooling like earth after rain. You might feel this too, wanting everything sorted, organized, settled once and for all. But life has its seasons, and not every storm means failure. Sometimes accepting the rough edges eases the heart more than fighting them. Tonight, try placing a hand on your belly and letting it rise without forcing anything. Let life be imperfect, and let yourself rest anyway. Story 6 inches. The Bamboo Grove Monastery. A monk named Faguna struggled with resentment toward another monk. The irritation followed him everywhere, like a buzzing he couldn't quiet. He brought the tension to the Buddha. Shoulders tight, breath shallow. The Buddha spoke of how anger hurts the one who holds it, the way holding hot coals burns the hand. Faguna felt the truth immediately, shame loosening into relief. His breath deepened, and the sharp edges inside him softened. The grove seemed quieter, the bamboo swaying gently above. Maybe you know what it's like when someone gets under your skin at work, at home, in your memories. Anger drains energy you could use for rest and clarity. Letting go isn't approval, it's freedom. Tonight, imagine setting a heavy stone beside you, letting your shoulders lower with it. Give yourself permission to feel lighter. Story 07. Not far from Jetavana, a householder approached the Buddha carrying silent regret. He'd spoken harshly to his family the night before and couldn't shake the guilt. His chest ached from replaying the moment again and again. The Buddha met him with compassion, reminding him that acknowledging harm is the first step toward healing. He spoke of the power of honest apology and gentle resolve, not self-punishment. The man felt his breath settle, like dust dropping to the bottom of a jar. He left with softer eyes, ready to mend what he had strained. You may know this feeling, wishing words could be taken back, feeling heavy with what's already done. Guilt eases when we turn our regret into caring action. Tonight, whisper to yourself, I can try again. Let that kindness rest in your chest as you wind down. Story 08. At Varanasi, a young monk came to the Buddha, troubled by envy. He compared himself to others, how well they spoke, how calm they seemed, how far they had progressed. The comparisons left him tired and brittle. The Buddha spoke about how each person has their own pace and path, just as seeds sprout in different seasons. The monk felt his tension melt, as though releasing a breath he'd been holding for days. He realized he'd been measuring himself by someone else's yardstick. The cool river nearby shimmered softly, as if agreeing. You might feel this too, scrolling through successes online, comparing your life to others. Envy tightens the heart, patience loosens it. Try placing one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Feel both rise and fall. Let your own rhythm be enough for tonight. Story: 9 inches, a quiet clearing. A grieving father approached the Buddha. His child had died suddenly, and he felt swallowed by loneliness. He longed for an explanation, something to steady his shaking world. The Buddha didn't offer theories. He spoke simply of how life changes, how love remains even when form shifts. The father listened, tears soft on his cheeks. Feeling less alone, his breath slowed, his shoulders lowering as the ache eased a little. The trees above whispered gently in the evening breeze. Maybe you've known a loss that changes the shape of your days. Grief doesn't vanish, but it becomes lighter when shared. Tonight, rest your hand on your chest and feel the rise beneath your palm. Tell yourself, I'm allowed to feel this. Let the breath carry some comfort back to you. Story 10. One day, a monk confessed to the Buddha that his mind was constantly distracted. He worried about chores, duties, conversations, and unfinished tasks, like a mind full of open tabs. He felt overwhelmed, unable to stay present for even a moment. The Buddha spoke about noticing one thing at a time, the way a bee visits one flower before moving to the next. The monk breathed easier, realizing his mind didn't need to be perfect, just gently redirected. He felt a small but steady calm return, like a lamp flame steadied by cupped hands. Maybe you know this mind hopping between tasks, responsibilities pulling you in every direction. Life feels calmer when we meet one moment at a time. Tonight, choose one simple sensation: your breath, the weight of the blanket, or the softness of the pillow. Let that be your single flower. Stay with it until your mind settles enough for rest. Story 11. Late afternoon light settled over Jetavana as the Buddha rested beneath a broad sala tree. A monk approached, eyes downcast, burdened by shame. He had broken a small rule, not out of malice but carelessness, and the guilt gnawed at him. He feared being judged, feared he wasn't worthy of the robe he wore. The Buddha listened quietly, his presence steady as warm earth. He spoke of human imperfection, how mistakes are part of learning, the way new clay sometimes cracks before it's shaped well. The monk felt his chest loosen, the tightness in his breath easing. He realized he had been punishing himself far more harshly than anyone else would. The leaves above rustled gently, as if giving him permission to breathe again. You might know this feeling, replaying a misstep at work, or a careless word with someone you care about. Shame can cling like wet clothes, heavy and cold, but honesty opens the window to air it out. Tonight, place a hand on your heart for a moment. Tell yourself, I'm learning, I'm human. Let that soften your night. Just a little. Let the breath continue smoothing the rough corners inside you. Story 12. Near the city of Vaisali, the Buddha met a householder torn by indecision. He couldn't choose between two business paths, each filled with uncertainty. The weight of choosing had left him restless. Nights full of tossing and worry. He confessed he feared making the wrong choice, feared disappointing his family. The Buddha spoke gently about how clarity grows when the mind is steady, not when it is tangled in fear. He offered a simple image: muddy water settles when left undisturbed. Hearing this, the man felt something loosen in his chest. He realized his frantic thinking was only stirring the mud. As his breathing slowed, he sensed a small calm returning. Maybe you've been there agonizing over decisions, refreshing pros and cons in your head like an endless scroll. Sometimes it's not more thinking we need, but less pressure. A steady mind sees more clearly. Tonight, sit back for one slow moment. Feel the weight of the blanket or the bed pressing gently against you. Let your thoughts settle like silt drifting downward. Clarity will come when it's ready. Story 13. One morning in the bamboo grove, a monk named Buddha knelt before the Buddha, trembling slightly. In his past life as a nobleman, he always lived with fear of enemies, fear of loss, fear of not being good enough. Even now, in a monastery, the old fears whispered to him at night. The Buddha listened with quiet understanding. He spoke of how fear fades when we learn to rest in the present moment instead of chasing shadows of what might happen. Buddha felt his breath slow, the tremor in his hands easing. The warm sunlight filtering through bamboo leaves felt more real than his imagined dangers. He realized much of his fear came from old habits, not the world around him now. You might relate lying awake, thinking of what could go wrong, heart tight, without a real threat nearby. Fear often rises from memory, not the room you're in. Notice what is truly here: your bed, your breath, your safety. Place one hand on your belly and feel the rise under your palm. Let your body remind your mind that this moment is steady. Even small moments of safety can soften big fears. Story 14. At Savatthi, a farmer approached the Buddha, carrying deep frustration. His son ignored his guidance. His workers were unreliable, and he felt his temper spike every day. He admitted he had shouted more than he intended, leaving conversations scorched. The Buddha received his anger calmly, like a cool lake meeting a thrown stone. He spoke about how fire spreads quickly when fed, but dies down when left without fuel. Hearing this, the farmer felt his breath deepen, as if cooling from the inside. He realized he had been feeding his anger with constant rumination. The tension in his jaw eased, his shoulders settling. Maybe you've felt this during a hectic day. Someone pushes your limits, and anger rises before you can catch it. But you don't have to fan every spark. A moment of pause cools more than a dozen arguments. Tonight, let your shoulders drop as if placing down a heavy sack. Let your next breath be a little slower. Let the fire settle into warm embers. Story 15. Under the spreading branches of a great banyan, the Buddha sat while a wandering ascetic approached. The man was proud of his severe practices: harsh fasting, sleepless nights, constant self-denial. But he was exhausted, brittle, and resentful. Though he wouldn't admit it, the Buddha spoke gently, noting that harshness toward oneself rarely leads to wisdom. He used the quiet image of a tree growing not by force, but through steady nourishment. The ascetic felt his stiff posture soften. He hadn't realized how tired he was. He saw that his struggle came not from effort, but from beating himself with it. His breath eased, and he felt warmth return to his face. You might know this: pushing yourself too hard, thinking discipline must always hurt. But growth doesn't bloom under punishment. Let yourself have a little kindness tonight. Let your breath come naturally. Place a hand on your chest and feel how the body softens when treated gently. Growth follows care. Story 16 inches, a quiet grove. A monk named Tissa came to the Buddha carrying resentment. Someone had criticized him earlier, and he couldn't let it go. The words stuck in his chest like a thorn. The Buddha listened, seeing how tightly Tissa held the wound. He spoke about how clinging to insults harms us more than the insult itself. Tissa felt the truth wash through him, a slow unwinding inside his ribs. He realized he had been feeding the sting by replaying it. The air around them felt lighter, as though the grove itself exhaled. Perhaps you've replayed a comment from a coworker or family member, long after they've forgotten it. Hurtful words echo when we build chambers for them, but you can let the echo fade. Take one slow breath and imagine opening a window inside your chest. Let the stale air drift out. You deserve the ease that follows. Story 17. While staying near Kosambi. The Buddha encountered two monks locked in argument. Their disagreement had spread through the community, causing tension and silent resentment. Both felt certain they were right, and neither wanted to yield. The Buddha gathered them quietly and spoke of harmony, how a community thrives when each person listens with humility. He reminded them that clinging to being right often harms the heart more than losing any debate. As his words settled, both monks felt their pride loosen. Their faces softened, breath steadying like ripples calming on water. They bowed to each other, realizing their friendship mattered more than the dispute. You might know this feeling at work, at home, holding on to a point just to win. Pride can strain what the heart wishes to protect. Try softening the next time tension rises. Tonight, rest your hands at your sides and let your shoulders drop. Let being at ease matter more than being right. Story 18. Inches the early morning. When the air was still cool, a young man approached the Buddha with a heavy heart. His parents expected him to manage their business, but he longed for a different life. He felt trapped between duty and desire, torn by guilt and confusion. The Buddha welcomed him with calm eyes, acknowledging the weight of expectations. He spoke of choosing a path with awareness, not out of fear or rebellion, but from understanding what brings steadiness to the heart. The young man felt his inner storm quiet slightly. He realized he didn't need an instant answer, only patience and honesty. His breath lengthened, and his shoulders softened. You may know this: family expectations pressing on your chest, decisions that feel too big to hold. It's okay not to decide everything tonight. Clarity grows when rushed less. Place a hand on your belly and take a slow breath. Let the uncertainty soften, even for a moment. You can walk your path, step by gentle step. Story 19. Near the cool edge of a forest. A grieving widow sought the Buddha. Her partner had died suddenly, and she felt lost, unsure how to move forward. She feared forgetting, yet feared remembering too sharply. The Buddha received her sorrow fully, not turning away. He spoke of how love remains in the heart, even as life changes around it like a lamp, still warm long after the flame has gone out. She felt tears rise, but they were softer this time. Her breath deepened, her spine relaxing as she felt less alone. She realized grief didn't mean she had failed. It meant she had loved deeply. Maybe you've felt a loss that continues to echo through your days. Grief doesn't follow a schedule, but kindness toward yourself eases the path. Tonight, rest one hand over your heart and feel the warmth beneath your palm. Let that warmth be a quiet reminder of connection. You can carry love without carrying all the pain. Story 20. While traveling through a quiet village, the Buddha met a man overwhelmed by constant worry. He feared illness, feared bad luck, feared failure before anything had even happened. His mind was always racing ahead, never resting where his feet stood. The Buddha listened with patient attention. He spoke about noticing the ground beneath one's feet, the simple reality of the present. Instead of living in imagined futures, the man felt his breath slow, realizing how rarely he'd truly inhabited a single moment. His shoulders softened, the knot in his stomach easing. Even the breeze felt more real, more immediate. You might know this, lying awake, imagining worst-case scenarios. Heart tight without a clear reason. Worry pulls you out of your own life, but one moment of presence brings you back. Tonight, feel the weight of your body against the bed. Notice one simple sensation, the warmth of the blanket, the softness beneath you. Let this moment be enough. Story 21 inches, the quiet shade near Jetavana. The Buddha sat while a wealthy man approached with a troubled face. He lived in abundance, yet felt constantly dissatisfied, chasing pleasure after pleasure. Each new achievement faded quickly, leaving him restless and empty again. The Buddha listened with stillness, as if holding a lamp to the man's turmoil. He spoke of how cravings multiply when we feed them, like a fire flaring higher with each added branch. The man felt something shift, his breath slowing, the tension in his fingers easing. He realized he had been running after satisfaction, instead of allowing contentment to settle. The grove around them grew quieter, a soft reminder of enoughness. Maybe you know this: working harder, buying more, striving endlessly, yet rarely feeling full. Ambition is fine, but chasing without pausing drains the heart. Rest begins where grasping stops. Tonight, let your jaw soften and your hands relax on the blanket. Tell yourself, right now, this is enough. Let that small truth settle gently in your chest. Story 22. One morning, a monk named Kulapanthaka approached the Buddha with deep discouragement. He struggled to remember teachings, unable to retain even a simple verse. Shame weighed on him, and he felt unworthy among the other monks. The Buddha welcomed him kindly. Recognizing the sincerity of his effort, he gave Kulapanthaka a simple cloth to hold and rub, guiding him to stay with one small action. Day by day, the monk's mind steadied, and clarity slowly grew where confusion once tightened. He discovered that patience, not brilliance, opened his path. His breath grew smoother, his posture less burdened. You might know this feeling: slow, overwhelmed, or comparing your progress to others. But learning has many rhythms, and yours is valid. A small, consistent step can shift your whole direction. Tonight, let one hand rest gently on your belly. Stay with the rise and fall for a few moments. Let simplicity calm your mind, the way the cloth calmed his. Story 23. Near Rajagaha, the Buddha was approached by a general weighed down by anger. He lived in a world of commands and conflicts, and the tension never left his chest. He feared his own temper, feared hurting those he cared for. The Buddha met him with calm, steady eyes. He spoke of how a mind trained in gentleness can redirect anger the way a skilled charioteer guides a horse. Hearing this, the general felt heat drain from his face. He realized he could guide his reactions instead of being dragged by them. His breath deepened, like a rope finally loosening. You might know this after a hard day. Snapping faster than you mean to. Anger moves quickly, but calm grows in the pauses. Tonight, breathe slowly and let your shoulders drop down your back. Notice the space between one breath and the next. Let that space cool whatever has been burning inside. Story 24. A worried father came to the Buddha near the outskirts of Kosambi. His son had fallen in with unwise friends, and the father blamed himself. He feared losing him, feared the path the boy walked. The Buddha listened with gentle patience. He spoke of how guidance works best when offered with warmth rather than control. Like watering a young plant instead of pulling at its stem. The father felt his chest loosen, the heaviness in his breath softening. He realized he couldn't steer his son by force, only by steady care. Even the wind moving through the trees seemed to echo this gentler strength. Maybe you've worried about someone you love, family, children, a partner feeling helpless to protect them. Love doesn't mean domination, it means presence. Tonight, send a quiet wish of well-being to the person you're thinking of. Let the thought be soft, not strained. Let it ease your heart instead of tightening it. Story 25. One day, a merchant visited the Buddha trembling with guilt. During a moment of greed, he had cheated a customer and now felt consumed by remorse. He couldn't sleep, replaying the mistake again and again. The Buddha received his confession without judgment. He spoke of how acknowledging wrongdoing is the doorway to setting things right. Like untying a knot, one loop at a time. The merchant felt relief wash over him. He understood he could repair what was broken through honest action. His breath deepened, his spine relaxing from its rigid tension. Maybe you've carried regret from a moment you wish you could undo. Guilt softens when we turn it toward repair. Tonight, whisper gently to yourself, I can make amends where I can. Let that intention sit quietly in your heart. You don't need to solve everything tonight, just aim toward goodness. Story 26 inches, the Mango Grove. A monk named Rahula approached the Buddha with uncertainty. He felt confused about truthfulness, worried he might disappoint his teacher, his mind tangled in fear of not living up to expectations. The Buddha spoke to him kindly, using simple images, how clear water reflects accurately, while cloudy water distorts. Rahula felt the comparison settled gently into his mind. He breathed easier, understanding that honesty brings clarity not only to others, but to his own heart. A calmness spread through him like ripples smoothing on a pond. You may know this feeling, pressured to appear perfect, or hiding parts of yourself out of fear. Honesty doesn't demand harshness, it simply invites steadiness. Tonight, let your jaw soften and breathe with ease. Tell yourself, I can be truthful and gentle at the same time. Let the thought bring a small sense of ease. Story 27. At Anathapindika's park. A young woman came to the Buddha overwhelmed by longing. She missed someone who had left her life, and the ache filled her days. She felt trapped between hope and sorrow. The Buddha listened with compassion. He spoke of how longing is like clutching a rope. Your hands grow tired, yet you struggle to release it. Slowly, she felt her breath lengthen, her fingers loosening from their imagined grip. She realized that letting go didn't erase love. It simply allowed her heart to rest. The dusk around them grew soft, like the easing inside her. Maybe you've held tight to someone or something long gone, a relationship, a past time, an old dream. Release doesn't mean forgetting. It means allowing space. Tonight, unclench your hands and rest them gently on the blankets. Let yourself be supported by the present moment. Your heart deserves room to breathe. Story 28. Near Vasali. A monk approached the Buddha, troubled by constant restlessness. He couldn't sit still in meditation, couldn't focus on chores, couldn't finish tasks without drifting. His mind felt like a bird flitting from branch to branch. The Buddha met his anxiety with calm understanding. He spoke of anchoring the mind in small, steady actions, sweeping one patch of ground. Feeling each stroke, the monk felt something settle in him, a quiet recognition that he didn't need to control everything at once. His breath deepened, his body softening into the moment. Maybe your mind jumps too between notifications, deadlines, responsibilities. Restlessness grows when we fight it, but simple attention restores steadiness. Tonight, choose one sensation, the warmth of your pillow, the softness of a blanket, and rest your awareness there. Let that gentle anchor soothe you towards sleep. Story 29. A young boy came to the Buddha with tears in his eyes. Frightened by the storms that shook his village, the thunder reminded him of past arguments at home, leaving him anxious long after the sky cleared. He felt powerless against the noise, inside and outside. The Buddha welcomed him close, offering comfort without words at first. Then he spoke of how storms pass, and how courage grows when we notice what remains steady beneath the noise. The boy felt calmer, realizing he could trust the ground beneath him even when the sky roared. His breathing eased, the fear loosening its grip. You might carry echoes of old storms, too loud moments, conflicts, memories that shake you unexpectedly. But stability lives in the present moment, not in the past. Thunder. Tonight, feel the mattress supporting you, steady and unmoving. Let that steadiness quiet the lingering echoes. You are safe here. Story 30. Late one evening, a monk approached the Buddha, overwhelmed with self-doubt. He felt others were wiser, kinder, more disciplined, and he feared he would never measure up. His mind compared constantly, leaving him weary and discouraged. The Buddha listened with patience and care. He spoke of how a tree grows at its own pace, some fast, some slow, each reaching the sky in its own time. The monk felt a warmth spread through his chest, his breath loosening. He realized he had been measuring himself against others instead of tending to his own path. The night sounds around them seemed to soften in agreement. Maybe you've compared yourself too at work, in family roles, in your achievements. Comparison steals the joy of your own journey. Tonight, rest one hand on your heart. Let its steady beat remind you that your path is yours alone. Move gently, grow gently, at the speed that fits your life. Story 31 inches. The cool dawn near Vulture Peak. A farmer approached the Buddha with deep weariness. He worked from sunrise to sunset, yet felt constantly behind, constantly burdened. His back ached, his mind raced, and rest felt like a luxury he could not afford. The Buddha listened gently, noticing the tension in the man's shoulders. He spoke of how even the earth rests between seasons, and fields flourish when they are given pause. The farmer felt something soften, like soil after the first rain. He realized he had treated himself like an endless tool, not a living being. The breeze carried a quiet hush, encouraging stillness. Perhaps you know this, pushing through exhaustion out of fear of falling behind. But rest is not laziness, it is nourishment. Tonight, Allow your breath to deepen without effort. Let each exhale release a bit of the pressure you've been carrying. Imagine laying your burdens beside you for now. Feel the simple relief of stopping, even for a moment. Story 32. A young monk approached the Buddha with confusion swirling inside him. He felt pulled between desires for solitude and longing for companionship. His heart seemed to move in opposite directions, leaving him unsettled. The Buddha listened with warmth and calm understanding. He spoke of balance, like the middle strings of a lute, too loose, and the sound is dull, too tight, and it snaps. Hearing this, the monk felt clarity begin to form. He realized he didn't need to choose extremes. He needed harmony. The wind drifting through the leaves echoed this gentle middle path. Maybe you felt torn too between rest and ambition, independence and connection. Life rarely demands one side. It invites balance. Tonight, feel your breath. Find its natural rhythm. Notice how your chest rises and falls without force. Let yourself settle into the gentle middle, where calm begins. Story 33. A traveler came to the Buddha trembling with fear. Bandits had robbed him on the road, leaving him shaken long after the danger had passed. His mind replayed the event constantly, trapping him in the moment of terror. The Buddha welcomed him kindly, offering space to breathe. He spoke of how fear lingers like a shadow, yet fades when we bring our mind back to the present. The traveler felt his heartbeat slowing, the heat in his chest cooling. He realized he had survived, and the worst had already ended. The quiet grove seemed to wrap around him like a protective cloak. You may know this moments that stay with you long after they're over. Fear softens when we remember where we are now. Tonight, feel the steadiness beneath you, unmoving and secure. Let each breath remind you that the danger is not here. Allow safety to settle gently into your body. Story 34. One afternoon, a scholar visited the Buddha weighed down by pride. He knew scriptures, languages, philosophies, yet felt irritated by those who understood less. His knowledge had become a barrier rather than a bridge. The Buddha met him with quiet compassion. He spoke of how wisdom is like a ripe fruit. It bends the branch downward, never upward in arrogance. The scholar felt a blush rise to his cheeks, humility blooming in its place. He realized wisdom was measured not by intellect, but by kindness. A deep breath left him, carrying away the tightness of superiority. Maybe you felt frustration with others who move at a different pace. Pride isolates, but humility connects. Tonight, inhale softly and let judgment fall away with each exhale. Feel the warmth of understanding expand inside you. Let generosity become your quiet strength. Story 35. A mother visited the Buddha, filled with grief, after losing her newborn child. Her tears flowed endlessly, and her heart felt torn open. She believed she would never feel whole again. The Buddha sat beside her, not speaking at first, simply present. Eventually, he spoke of how sorrow touches every family, every life. Like rain falling on all roofs, her breathing grew less jagged. Though her pain remained, she felt seen, and in being seen, slightly less alone. The trees around them swayed gently, as if grieving with her. You may know grief too, the ache that doesn't vanish, but slowly softens. Pain does not demand you be strong. It asks you to be patient. Tonight, place a hand over your heart with gentle care. Feel its fragile, steady rhythm. Let yourself be held by the quiet. just as she was held in that moment. Story 36. A restless craftsman approached the Buddha, complaining of constant irritation. Every noise bothered him. Every mistake felt unbearable. He felt trapped inside his own impatience. The Buddha looked at him with calm eyes. He spoke of how impatience is like a pot boiling over heat, rising from within, not from the world. The craftsman felt a reluctant smile tug at his lips. Realizing the truth of it, he breathed out slowly, cooling the heat he'd been feeding. Even the birdsong nearby seemed less sharp, more gentle. Maybe your day held moments that made your nerves tight, your breath short. Impatience eases when we cool the fire inside rather than blaming the outside. Tonight, breathe slowly through your nose and let the exhale lengthen. Let warmth drain from your jaw and shoulders. Allow room for softness to return. Story 37 inches. The bamboo grove. A nun came to the Buddha, full of doubts about her worth. She feared she was too ordinary, too unremarkable to contribute anything meaningful. Her heart felt small, overshadowed by others' accomplishments. The Buddha listened with gentle care. He spoke of how even the smallest star lights the night sky, each brilliance unique. Her eyes softened as the words settled into her chest. She realized she had compared her flame instead of honoring its glow. The evening light shimmered through the grove, each leaf shining in its own way. Maybe you've doubted your own value, wondering if you matter. You do. Tonight, breathe in deeply and feel your presence expand. Let the simple truth settle: your light is yours. It does not need to be brighter, only honest. Story 38. A potter visited the Buddha, overwhelmed by frustration with his work. Many pots cracked in the kiln, and he felt like a failure. He questioned whether he should abandon his craft. The Buddha looked at his hands, strong, skilled, dusted with clay. He spoke of how growth requires patience, just as clay requires careful shaping and steady heat. The potter felt his shoulders drop as he absorbed the lesson. His breath slowed, and the harshness toward himself softened. Even the air around him felt less heavy. Maybe you felt discouraged when efforts don't bear fruit immediately. Failure is part of forming something meaningful. Tonight, allow yourself a long, gentle exhale. Let your imperfections sit without judgment. You are shaping yourself, slowly and steadily, just like clay. Story 39. A young herder came to the Buddha, exhausted from caring for his animals. He felt responsible for every danger, every mistake, every loss. The weight of constant vigilance had drained him. The Buddha welcomed him to sit and rest his tired feet. He spoke of how care must include caring for the caregiver, or else compassion dries up like an untended well. The herder felt something shift, a heaviness lifting slightly. His breath steadied as he allowed himself to rest. The world around him didn't collapse. It simply waited. Maybe you've carried responsibilities that feel endless: family, work, others' needs. But you cannot pour from an empty vessel. Tonight, let your body sink into support. Feel the relief of allowing yourself a moment of ease. You deserve rest as much as anyone you care for. Story 40. Near the quiet edge of Savatthi, an artist approached the Buddha with sadness. He had lost inspiration and feared the joy of creation was gone forever. Colors felt dull, shapes lifeless, ideas empty. The Buddha listened with kindness, noticing the artist's tired eyes. He spoke of how creativity ebbs and flows like the tides, retreating only to return with new depth. The artist felt breath move more freely, hope flickering like a small candle. He realized he had been demanding constant brilliance instead of allowing natural rhythms. The evening air felt lighter as he released that pressure. Maybe you felt stuck, too uninspired, unmotivated, unsure. Stillness can be the soil where new ideas grow. Tonight, let yourself settle without forcing anything. Let your mind drift gently. Like water finding its level, creativity will come back when it's ready. Story 41. One morning, near Rajagaha, a young man came to the Buddha filled with jealousy. Another student seemed to learn faster, speak better, gain more praise. The young man felt small, his chest tight with comparison. The Buddha welcomed him to sit under the shade of a broad tree. He spoke of how each person grows like plants in a garden, different roots, different seasons. The man felt his shoulders ease as those words settled. He realized he had been watering envy instead of effort. A soft breeze rustled the leaves above them. Maybe you know that sting, watching someone else seem ahead. But your path has a rhythm meant for you alone. Tonight, let your breath move gently. Release the tight grip of comparison. Feel the quiet dignity of walking at your own pace. Story 42. A householder approached the Buddha, frustrated by endless disagreements at home. Harsh words had filled the past week, and he felt worn thin. He feared he was failing his family. The Buddha greeted him with calm understanding. He spoke of how anger spreads like a spark in dry grass, and how a single cool moment can stop the fire. The man felt his face slacken, the heat inside dimming. He realized he could choose calm even when others could not. The rustle of grass nearby echoed the lesson. Maybe you felt the drain of conflict, the ache it leaves afterward. Peace begins with one softer breath, one gentler word. Tonight, breathe quietly into the chest, letting tension melt. Allow space for understanding to return. Let tomorrow's conversations begin from a cooler heart. Story 43. A merchant came to the Buddha anxious about losing his wealth. Trade was uncertain, and he feared every shift in the market. Even good days felt fragile, as if everything might collapse. The Buddha listened patiently to his trembling voice. He spoke of how clinging to gain creates fear, just as grasping sand makes it slip away. The merchant breathed out, realizing he had been tightening his grip too much. His hands relaxed in his lap, palms open. The afternoon sun warmed the ground beneath him. Maybe you've known money worries too. The way they fill the mind. Fear softens when we loosen our hold, even a little. Tonight, let your body soften from the inside. Feel your breath settle gently in your belly. Allow a small sense of steadiness to rise. Story 44. One evening, a monk approached the Buddha ashamed of his constant daydreaming. His mind wandered to past mistakes and imagined futures. Meditation felt impossible, and he doubted himself. The Buddha offered a quiet smile. He spoke of how the mind is like a young calf wandering from the path. It is guided not by force, but by repeated kindness. The monk felt his self-criticism ease. He understood that gentle persistence mattered more than perfection. The night air cooled around them, offering calm. Maybe your mind has wandered today, pulled by old memories or what-ifs. That's all right. Minds do that. Tonight, guide your thoughts back softly, without scolding. Let the present moment cradle you like a warm blanket. Story 45. A grieving man came to the Buddha bringing ashes in a small bowl. He had lost his father and felt unmoored, drifting through his days. His sorrow felt endless. The Buddha sat beside him in compassionate silence. He spoke of how all lives are like lamps, bright for a time, then quietly extinguished. The man felt tears soften rather than burn. He realized love continues in the tenderness we carry forward. A gentle hush filled the air between them. Maybe you've lost someone too, and the ache still lingers. Grief is love learning new form. Tonight, rest your hand on your heart and breathe gently. Let your memories settle like warm light around you. Give yourself permission to feel and to rest. Story 46. A farmer approached the Buddha, angry at a neighbor who damaged his field. His chest felt tight, his jaw locked, his thoughts sharp. He wanted revenge, or at least an apology. The Buddha listened without judgment. He spoke of how anger is a burden we carry on our own backs, not the other person's. The farmer felt a long breath leave him, his fists unclenched, the weight shifting. He realized he could choose peace, even without compensation. The distant sound of wind in the palms steadied him. Maybe you've carried that heavy anger too, turning it over and over. But you deserve relief. Tonight, exhale slowly, letting bitterness melt from your shoulders. Imagine setting down the heavy bundle of resentment. Feel the freedom that follows. Story 47. A young woman came to the Buddha, plagued by perfectionism. She tried to do everything flawlessly, her work, her chores, her duties, yet never felt satisfied. Her mind was a constant scoreboard of mistakes. The Buddha welcomed her with gentle eyes. He spoke of how even the moon is not full every night, yet it is beautiful in every phase. The woman felt her breath deepen, her chest loosening. She realized she had demanded constant fullness from herself. A calm glow settled over the grove. Maybe you know that pressure. Striving to meet impossible standards. You are allowed to be unfinished. Tonight, let yourself exhale softly. Let the day be enough. Feel the ease of being human rather than perfect. Story 48. A hunter once approached the Buddha seeking guidance. He lived with guilt for taking lives, yet felt trapped by his livelihood. His heart carried conflict heavier than any bow he used. The Buddha met him with compassion rather than condemnation. He spoke of how even a harmful path can be transformed through intention and gradual change. The hunter's shoulders eased as hope entered his breath. He realized he wasn't beyond redemption. He had choices. The quiet forest around them echoed renewal. Maybe you've carried guilt too, actions you wish you could redo. But growth begins with honesty and small steps. Tonight, breathe gently and release harsh self-judgment. Let the possibility of change rest softly in your chest. Story 49. A monk confessed to the Buddha that he felt lonely, even surrounded by others. His heart felt distant, cold, out of place. He wondered if something was wrong with him. The Buddha listened kindly, offering warmth through presence alone. He spoke of how loneliness arises when we forget our shared humanity. Like clouds hiding the sun, the monk felt a subtle warmth return to his body. He realized connection begins with opening his own heart. The morning light shimmered between branches. Maybe you felt alone too, even in a room full of people. Softness begins inside. Tonight, breathe into your chest and imagine it warming from within. Let that warmth reach outward, gently and quietly. Story 50. A prince came to the Buddha overwhelmed by responsibility. Decisions weighed heavily on him, and he feared making the wrong ones. He felt pulled in every direction by expectation and duty. The Buddha met him with steady calm. He spoke of how clarity rises when we pause. Just as still water reflects the moon, the prince felt tightness release from his spine. He realized rushing only clouded his mind further. The nearby pond shimmered with quiet light. Maybe your day held decisions that felt heavy, choices that tugged at your peace. Clarity grows in stillness, not urgency. Tonight, allow your breath to settle into an easy rhythm. Let your thoughts drift like ripples smoothing on a quiet lake. Trust that calm will reveal what you need in time. Story 51. One afternoon, in Vesali, a monk came to the Buddha troubled by envy toward a fellow monk who received more alms. He felt embarrassed by his own jealousy, yet couldn't shake it. His chest tightened each morning as he watched others receive generosity he wished were his. The Buddha received him with steady kindness. He spoke of how the heart grows smaller when we grasp at what others have, and wider when we rejoice in their good fortune. The monk felt something loosen, like a knot beginning to untie. He realized he had been feeding the wrong flame. The warm air around them seemed to soften as he breathed more easily. Maybe you felt that discomfort, watching someone else receive what you hoped for. It's human. Tonight, breathe gently and let your heart expand instead of contract. Feel the quiet relief of wishing others well. It frees space inside you too. Story 52. A woman approached the Buddha, overwhelmed by guilt after harsh words she'd spoken to her sister. The argument replayed in her mind, each moment tinged with regret. She feared she had damaged the relationship beyond repair. The Buddha offered a calm, steady presence. He spoke of how words are like seeds. Some grow into harm, others into healing, and both can be tended afterward. The woman's breath slowed, softening the sharpness inside. She realized she could begin again with honesty and care. A soft breeze brushed the dust along the path. Maybe you've carried regret too, heavy and warm in the chest. But every day offers a doorway to repair. Tonight, rest your hand lightly over your heart. Let the breath move beneath it. Allow a small sense of forgiveness to open within you. Story 53. A traveler came to the Buddha anxious about the dangers of the road. He worried constantly whether thieves, illness, missteps. His fear followed him like a shadow. The Buddha listened with patient understanding. He spoke of how worry cannot prevent what has not yet happened, but it can steal the peace of what is already safe. The traveler inhaled deeply, feeling fear loosen its grip. He realized he had survived every day so far, including this one. The path ahead seemed less threatening, more possible. Maybe your mind has circled around future concerns today. It's easy to wander into what-ifs. Tonight, feel the steadiness of where you are right now. Let the ground beneath you anchor your breath. You are safe in this moment. Story 54. A monk approached the Buddha ashamed of his laziness. He often delayed tasks, drifting into distraction, then felt guilty afterward. He worried he lacked discipline. The Buddha welcomed him gently. He spoke of how motivation rises and falls like the tide, and how small, consistent effort steadies the mind. The monk felt less pressure, more clarity. He realized each small step mattered more than bursts of ambition. Even the rustling bamboo seemed to encourage him. Maybe you've struggled with procrastination too, feeling stuck or sluggish. You're not alone. Tonight, soften the heaviness of self-blame. Notice the simple comfort of a steady breath. Tomorrow can hold small, doable steps. Story 55. A craftsman came to the Buddha agitated by constant mistakes in his work. Every flaw felt like proof he wasn't good enough. His mind buzzed with self-criticism. The Buddha offered a quiet gaze. He spoke of how mistakes are like stones on a path. They guide the journey forward when stepped on, not avoided. The craftsman's shoulders eased as the idea settled. He felt space open where tension had crowded. A warm beam of sunlight touched the ground between them. Maybe you felt frustrated by your own slips today. Perfection is not the point, progress is. Tonight, breathe softly and let judgment drain from your body. Feel a sense of gentleness return. You're learning, always learning. Story 56. A mother approached the Buddha exhausted by caring for her ill child. Her nights were long, her days full, her spirit thin. She feared she had nothing left to give. The Buddha welcomed her with deep compassion. He spoke of how even the brightest lamp needs refilling, and how caring for oneself sustains caring for others. The mother felt her breath grow steadier. She realized she had been running on emptiness. The shade of a nearby tree felt like a blessing. Maybe you felt stretched thin too, pulled by responsibilities. Caregivers need care as much as anyone. Tonight, let your breath slow and soften. Allow your body to sink into support. Let this moment refill you. Story 57. A student came to the Buddha, embarrassed by his resentment toward another monk. He couldn't let go of a past insult, replaying it daily. It weighed on him more than he wished to admit. The Buddha met him with patient calm. He spoke of how holding resentment is like holding hot coal, burning only the one who refuses to release it. The student felt the truth strike gently. His breath deepened, loosening the anger's grip. Birdsong filled the quiet space between them. Maybe you've carried old hurts too, heavier than you expected. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting, just choosing freedom. Tonight, breathe out the weight of what no longer serves you. Let your chest feel lighter. Story 58. A farmer came to the Buddha, anxious about a drought threatening his crops. His family depended on the harvest, and uncertainty gnawed at him. He felt helpless watching the skies remain clear. The Buddha listened with soft understanding. He spoke of how effort and worry are not the same, and that doing what one can while accepting what one cannot control brings steadiness. The farmer exhaled, tension easing from his brow. He realized he had done his part. The rest was beyond him. A faint breeze rustled the dry grass. Maybe you've faced situations where you did all you could, yet outcomes stayed uncertain. It's hard, but you don't have to carry the whole sky. Tonight, let your shoulders drop. Allow the breath to soothe what you cannot change. Story 59. A monk confessed to the Buddha that he felt superior to younger monks. He believed his years of practice made him more worthy. Yet pride left him lonely and uneasy. The Buddha regarded him with gentle clarity. He spoke of how true maturity is shown not in rank, but in kindness. The monk felt a soft embarrassment, followed by humility. His breath became calm and deep. The grove around them shimmered with simple stillness. Maybe you felt the tug of comparison from above, not just below. Pride can isolate the heart. Tonight, breathe gently and let humility warm you. Feel how connection returns when superiority fades. Story 60. A man approached the Buddha, overwhelmed by constant busyness. Every hour felt packed. Every day rushed. Every moment filled with tasks. He feared he was losing himself in the hurry. The Buddha welcomed him with a slow, grounding presence. He spoke of how a cup filled too quickly overflows, but filled slowly holds its contents. The man felt a wave of relief wash through his chest. He realized he had forgotten the value of pauses. Even the sunlight seemed to move more gently as he breathed. Maybe your day felt crowded too, with no room to breathe. Busyness softens when we allow even small spaces of stillness. Tonight, let your breath stretch out softly. Let the rush settle like dust in a quiet room. Feel yourself return. Story 61. The Buddha was sitting beneath a quiet stand of sal trees. The late afternoon, warm and still. When a young mother approached, her eyes were red from crying, her hands shaking as she held a small cloth bundle to her chest. Her child had fallen ill weeks before, and now she could not let go, could not accept what had happened. She knelt in front of the Buddha, begging for a medicine that could bring the boy back to life. Her grief was wild, the kind that makes breathing feel impossible. The Buddha looked at her with a steady, heartfelt kindness. He told her gently to bring him mustard seeds from a home untouched by death. She went from door to door through the village, her hope flickering like a candle in the wind. House after house. People shook their heads, each had lost someone. Slowly, her feet grew heavy, and the truth settled in her heart. She returned to the Buddha at dusk, empty-handed, trembling. He welcomed her close, saying nothing at first, simply letting her breathe. In the quiet, she felt her grip loosen, just a little, around the ache she had been holding. You might know this feeling, clutching something you can't change, replaying the same memory. Sometimes life doesn't obey our wishes, no matter how tightly we beg or bargain. Grief softens when we realize we are not alone in it. Every family, every heart, carries its own empty chair. Try placing a hand on your chest, breathing slow, and whispering, "I don't have to hold this all at once." Let one breath be the only thing you manage today. Story 62. One morning, near the bamboo grove, a monk paced in circles, stirring the dust with his sandals. His brow was tight, his thoughts racing too fast to name. He had been brooding over past mistakes, replaying old failures, trapped in loops of regret. The Buddha watched him from a distance, then called him over with a soft gesture. The monk bowed, embarrassed, but the Buddha's voice was patient. He pointed to the clear pond nearby, still as polished stone. "Stir it with a stick," he said. The monk obeyed, swirling the water until the reflection vanished in muddy spirals. They waited a moment. Then the Buddha asked him to pull out the stick. Slowly the water settled, the ripples easing one by one. The monk saw his face again, calmer now, less troubled. His breath lengthened without trying. You may know this restless turning, when old memories rise at night like unwelcome guests. Regret keeps stirring the mind long after the moment is gone. But even muddy water clears when nothing keeps agitating it. Your mind, too, will settle when you stop poking at what already happened. Let stillness do its quiet work. For 1 minute, sit and imagine your thoughts as ripples easing out to the edges, fading on their own. No fixing, just letting the water rest. Story 63. On a warm afternoon, the Buddha walked with several monks along the edge of a forest path. A farmer rushed toward them, covered in sweat and frustration. He had lost his cattle again and blamed the world for every misfortune. He listed his troubles breathlessly: failing crops, stubborn children, endless bills, sleepless nights. His voice carried the tired anger of someone who feels everything slipping through their fingers. The Buddha listened without interrupting. When the farmer finally paused, the Buddha said softly that everyone carries some burden. Even if he solved these problems, others would appear. This is the nature of a human life. The farmer blinked, confused, expecting a miracle solution instead. But something in the Buddha's calm steadiness eased the tightness around his mouth. He realized he didn't have defective problems, just human ones. His shoulders dropped a little, his breath steadier. You might feel this too. When the inbox fills, the bills pile up, and the house needs cleaning again. We think something is wrong with our life, when really, we're just living. Problems come and go, like weather passing through. We don't have to take every storm personally. Take 1 minute to whisper, "Not all of this is mine to fix today." Choose one task, and let the rest wait. Story 64. The Buddha sat near a quiet field where tall grasses swayed like soft green waves. A monk approached, feeling ashamed of the jealousy he had been harboring. He envied another monk's skills, attention, and praise. He confessed it all, voice trembling, afraid to be judged. The Buddha listened as kindly as a grandparent listening to a worried child. Then he pointed to the grasses moving in the wind. Some were tall, some short, some thin, some full, yet the wind touched them all. He reminded the monk that each person's abilities grow differently. No blade of grass tries to outshine another. Each simply stands where it grows. The monk felt the sting of envy begin to melt. He realized he didn't need to compete for worthiness. The air around him felt wider, easier to breathe. Maybe you felt this too, watching others succeed, wondering why you fall behind. Jealousy tightens the heart, convincing us we're lacking. But your life is its own shape, its own season. You don't have to match anyone. You only need to grow in your own direction. Take a slow breath and name one thing you already do well. Let yourself feel the quiet truth of it. Story 65. Near the shade of a mango tree, a young man came to the Buddha with anger burning in his chest. Someone had insulted him, and he replayed the words again and again, unable to let them go. His fists clenched even as he bowed. The Buddha asked him to imagine picking up a burning coal to throw at someone. The man nodded, confused. Then the Buddha explained, the one holding the coal gets burned first. The words struck through the man's heat and pride. He felt his breath shake, then soften. He realized he had been gripping his own pain like that red-hot ember. You may know this feeling, the sharp replay of someone's rudeness, the sting that refuses to fade. Anger feels powerful for a moment, but it scorches the one who carries it. Letting go isn't weakness. It's releasing the ember before it burns deeper. You deserve peace more than you deserve payback. Your heart isn't meant to be a furnace. For 1 minute, breathe out slowly and imagine dropping the ember into cool sand. Let your hands unclench, even if only a little. Story 66 inches, the early light. The Buddha walked by a riverbank, where a merchant sat with his head in his hands. He had lost most of his goods in a storm and feared he would never recover. His worries spilled out debts, aging parents, sleepless nights. The Buddha sat beside him, watching the river flow around stones and branches. He pointed to the water gliding past every obstacle. The merchant followed his gaze, his breath slowing. The river didn't fight the stones. It simply moved around them. And still, it reached the sea. The merchant felt something loosen inside him, a small thread of hope. Maybe you've had moments like this, life throwing obstacles you never planned for. Money, stress, setbacks at work, the feeling of slipping behind. But you, too, can move around the stones without breaking. Hardship doesn't mean failure. Sometimes it means a gentler direction. For a minute, picture yourself as water, steady, persistent, quietly finding a way forward. Let one small next step be enough. Story 67. The Buddha sat on a hillside at dusk, watching the sky blush into gold. A monk joined him. Frustrated with his meditation, his mind felt chaotic, full of noise and old stories. He complained that he should be calmer by now. The Buddha listened, then pointed to the darkening sky. Birds were circling, some landing, some flying off. Thoughts, he said, are like these birds. They come and go on their own. The monk watched them, realizing he didn't control their paths. His chest relaxed, his expectations loosening. Maybe you felt this pressure too, the idea that you should be calm or focused by now. We judge ourselves for a mind that simply acts like a mind. But thinking is not a failure. It's nature. Let the birds fly without chasing them. Let the sky be wide enough for all of it. Take 1 minute to sit and notice thoughts arrive and leave. Without grabbing or swatting them, just watch the sky inside you. Story 68 inches, the cool shade of a forest hut. A householder knelt before the Buddha. He was tired of working, tired of arguing with his family, tired of carrying disappointments. His face sagged with years of pushing through. The Buddha offered him a cup of water. As the man held it, the Buddha asked how long he could grip it before his arm ached. A while, the man said, but not forever. The Buddha nodded. The weight wasn't the problem, holding it too long was. Something in the man softened. He saw his whole life in that simple truth. You may feel this too, the endless tasks, the responsibilities you hold day after day. Even light burdens feel heavy when carried without rest. It's not your fault that you're tired. You're allowed to set things down, even briefly. For the next minute, unclench your jaw, lower your shoulders, and imagine placing one responsibility on a shelf. Just for now, let it rest. Story 69. Beside the quiet monastery, a young monk worried endlessly about the future. He feared sickness, aging, failure, everything that might come and hurt him. His thoughts raced, wearing grooves into his days. The Buddha asked him to look at a nearby tree. Its branches moved gently in the breeze, leaves trembling yet still rooted. The tree wasn't afraid of the wind, it simply swayed with it. The Buddha explained that life's changes are like that breeze, unavoidable, sometimes strong, but rarely permanent. The monk breathed slowly, realizing he couldn't control the wind, only his stance. You might know this fear, imagining every worst-case scenario at 2 a.m. Heart tight, mind spinning. The future feels like a storm we're bracing for. But most winds pass without knocking us down. We meet the future one breath at a time. No one stands alone in the breeze. Try placing both feet on the ground and taking 3 steady breaths, imagining roots growing into the earth. Let the wind blow without fighting it. Story 70. At the edge of the village, the Buddha met a man furious with himself. He had snapped at his wife, spoken sharply to his children, and now carried a lump of shame in his chest. He felt unworthy to even approach the Buddha. The Buddha welcomed him with a gentle nod. He pointed to a cracked pot nearby, patched with clay, though imperfect. It still held water and served the village well. The man realized he had been demanding perfection from himself. His breath shuddered, then softened as he let the truth settle. Even cracked pots can carry kindness forward. Maybe you've had nights like this, regretting your tone, replaying small mistakes. Shame can feel heavy, making you forget your goodness. But imperfection doesn't cancel your worth. You can repair what needs repair. You can still love and be loved. For a minute, place a hand over your heart and whisper, I can begin again. Let tomorrow be a fresh patch of clay. As we come to the end of this quiet hour together, just rest here, right where you are, held by the softness of the night. There's nothing left to do, nothing you need to remember, nothing to get right. Only this gentle drifting, this loosening, this return to the simple rhythm of your breath. You've walked through many stories tonight, stories of calm rivers, patient mountains, moonlit paths, open skies, and the quiet wisdom of the heart. Each one has carried you a little farther away from the noise of the day, and a little closer to the still center inside you. You might feel that now, like a small candle glowing in the dark, steady and unhurried, flickering softly with each rise and fall of your breath. Not a candle you have to guard, just one that burns on its own, lit by the simple fact that you are here, alive, breathing, and ready to rest. The river that followed you through these teachings is still flowing somewhere inside. You may notice it, a smooth, gentle current, moving without effort, carrying away the residue of the day, the conversations that lingered, the decisions that weighed on you, the worries that circled without end. The river knows where to go. You can trust it to take what you no longer need. And the moonlight we return to again and again, that soft silver glow, it still shines behind your closed eyes. Not as a bright light, but like a memory of comfort. A reminder that even in darkness there is guidance. There is a quiet presence watching over you without asking for anything in return. Let yourself sink into that glow, as if the moon were resting in the center of your chest, cool and calming, spreading peace through every breath. The ocean, too, is here, that wide, endless expanse where every wave rises and falls like your own breath, nothing forced, nothing hurried, just the natural movement of life. Feel your inhale spread like a wave reaching the shore. Feel your exhale fall back into the vast open sea. Over and over, slow and smooth, wave after wave, breath after breath. Let each exhale soften you. Let each inhale cradle you. Let the quiet rhythm settle into every corner of your body. The sky you visited tonight, the big, open, endless sky, it's still above you, still around you, still within you, a wide space for thoughts to drift through without catching, without clinging, without pulling you away from this moment of rest. If a thought rises now, just let it move the way a cloud moves slowly, gently until it fades into the distance. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to solve it. You don't need to hold it. This is the hour where everything can finally drop away. Feel the weight sliding off your shoulders, the breath loosening your chest, the jaw letting go, the forehead smoothing out, the belly softening, the hands relaxing, the whole body melting into whatever holds you. The night itself is cradling you, as if the darkness were a soft blanket woven from silence and kindness, a blanket that asks for nothing and gives everything warmth. Stillness. Safety. Let yourself be held. There's no more striving tonight. No more planning. No more remembering or reviewing. Those parts of you can rest now. They've worked so hard today. They deserve this pause, this quiet, this gentle release. Feel how the breath gets slower on its own. Feel how the space between breaths begins to widen. Just a little, then a little more. Like the world itself is exhaling with you. You've made it through another day. And now, the night welcomes you home, back to the soft glow of your own heart, the steady rhythm of your own breath, the peaceful weight of your own body melting into rest. Let the river carry you. Let the moonlight soothe you. Let the ocean rock you. Let the sky open around you. Let the candle of your heart flicker quietly as you drift deeper and deeper into the healing dark. Nothing is missing. Nothing is unfinished. Everything can wait. The universe is holding your place until morning. Let your breath grow softer now, as if you were breathing from the soles of your feet. Let the whole body settle like a leaf drifting onto still water. Let the mind dim like a lantern at the end of a long path. The night is deep. The world is quiet. And you are safe. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to fall asleep. You are allowed to let go. Feel the last pieces of tension slipping out of your fingers, your toes, your breath, your thoughts, until there is only softness, only spaciousness, only the peaceful drift of a soul returning to stillness. Sleep is rising to meet you. Let it gather you in its arms. The river, the moon, the ocean, the sky, the candle, your breath, all of it blending now, all of it flowing together into one quiet, gentle silence. And now you can rest.